Hello again, and welcome to Jarl's Favour Dev Log number 3, I think. It's been a little while, but I have managed to put in some hours and some effort into the game development and the concept that I'm working on, and I'm getting there. I've begun with some basic gameplay elements and just working on things like temperature and stamina and lighting. So visually, not too much has changed. I haven't worked on the landscape or anything. You might see here the character's face is different, hard to recognise probably, but the previous character's face just blew out in the light too much. So this character just happens to have a bit more 3D depth, which is helpful in not overexposing it in front with that lamp in front of them. Okay, talking about that lamp, let's go through what I've done on the lamp here, which is going to be a large part of the gameplay when you get it. You'll start off with a torch. I'll have to come up with elements for the torch, but this lamp here, as we can see, I've put a lot of movement work into it. So here I am moving forward, and the lamp tilts forward, lags behind me, tries to catch up. If I stop, it comes back to me. If I sprint, which I've added a sprint system as well, you can see it goes further ahead, just lighting the way ahead of you based on your speed, and then eases back. I've also animated it, so it just floats around, as you can see there. Gently floats. It's not random, but it's a pattern, circular looping pattern that's enough to make it look random. We might be able to have a better look at it in first person. There we go. Now if I turn the light off, see there it has a dissolve effect. That took a while to establish actually, that was tricky to figure out. But it's all working now. When I turn it back on, it does it in reverse, comes back on. You can see there are some, if you look carefully around the candle in the floating lamp, there's some blue particle effects flashing in and out. Those are a gameplay element indicating that the lamp is ready to be used as a flare. So if I go back into third person and I click my middle mouse button, the lamp will disappear and turn into a flare up there. And you'll have those blue particle effects floating in the air for as long as it lasts. The flare lasts for 1 minute, and then it'll won't reactivate for a random time between 2 and 3 minutes, or 1.5 or 3 minutes. I'll tweak that time, but I don't want it to be used too much. It's a get out of jail sort of card when you're in trouble. You can launch a flare to help guide you through the dark forest. And I've got these floating particle effects, and they look pretty cool. We'll wait for the lamp or the light to come back and I'll show you the rest of it. But in the meantime, I've also added middle mouse scroll wheel camera zooming, so we can zoom out just to adjust the camera for what the player might prefer. So far out third person, over the shoulder third person. I'll tweak this a little bit, of course, but it's in effect now. It is working. Move out to our default there. The lamp is back. I've added dimming of the lamp and brightening it up again. This does affect stealth, so there'll be sound and stealth to help you hunt animals, which is partly implemented already. And the lower your lamp light is, the higher your stealth will be, or you can turn it off for even more, then it gets quite dark. So we have an aurora shining by the look of it here. Turn the lamp back on. I've added a crouch, so I've added some movement things as well. So the lamp on low when sneaking is what the effect is most for. It just helps you see the ground you're sneaking around on. If you're trying to sneak up on an animal at night time to hunt it, we'll turn that back up. So I've added crouching, added sprinting, so if I hold down shift, I'm going quite fast. It won't be this fast, but that was just a test. Almost as fast as a race car at the moment. And you see down the bottom left green bar, I've added stamina, so I'll just walk for the time being, let the stamina regrow. I've added auto walk, so if I press C on my keyboard, the character is auto walking, just to save your wrist a little bit there, because it is a walking simulator-ish kind of game. I've added walk speed, so you can even move slower. Again, so caps lock has slowed the character's movement down to a normal walk, not a run. That'll help with stealth again, or hunting, or if you just want to enjoy the scenery. If I hit caps lock, the character will move back to a run. If I hold shift, the character will sprint. Now, I've also added, and this took a little while to figure out actually, a fade in and fade out for the stamina bar. So if I run or jump, you'll see bottom left, the stamina green bar will fade in. And then it'll use stamina when I sprint, it'll use stamina when I jump, it'll use stamina when I fight, and there may be other effects, but those are the three ones, the main ones at the moment. When it gets back to 100% or 99, actually, it begins its fade out. It's got a 4-second fade out, just to get as much UI, user interface, off the screen when not necessary. You don't need to see that your stamina's full if it's full, so just the bar will hide. I've added blinking to the character. So I'll put some facial animations in eventually as well. Eye movement, a little bit of mouth and jaw movement, just to bring the character to life. Even the blink just adds a lot. It's no longer a static mannequin. The blink is just random. There is an effect, it's okay when zoomed in, it's a anti-aliasing effect that's is part of Unreal, unfortunately. You'll see the eyes look a bit sticky, there we go, when they blink. That's not too much I can do about that besides changing the anti-aliasing, but I really like this TSR, I think it is, alias at the moment. Or TSA, one of those. Okay, the stamina's gone, so if I jump twice, there we go, and then we watch it fade out as well, and it fades out. So that's working well. That was close to a whole day's worth of work building the stamina system. I did follow tutorials, and they were all broken. I couldn't find one working tutorial, so I had to come up with my own stamina, which is good, which is really how it should be. Okay, that's most of what I've done here. Let's change time of day. Done on the visual side. I'll take you into blueprints now. There we go. After I've just shown I've got some procedural rock generation going on here. So last episode I spoke about the angular cliff faces here. I've now added some, I've now added some rocks to those cliff faces. Procedural, and it's cheap on the system because it's grass. What that does mean is all these rocks that are jutting out of the little cliff here, because they're grass, they don't have collision, so it can be walked through. I'm not worried about that, because the character can't walk on this material, only on the very base of it. So that'll remain that way. If they're sliding down, then they'll be moving too fast to worry about it anyway, and there'll be some larger, actually, rocks with collision like this. One right here that'll be populating these cliffs as well, but that just helps bring them to life a little bit more. I still do need to add some triplanar projection onto these cliffs. Still not too happy with that vertical stretching. So I've shown you the light, turn that off. I've shown you the character change. I've shown you the camera zoom and in and out, the crouch, the sprinting. Oh yes, up the top left there you'll see a -0. That is degrees Celsius. So I'm now tracking the character's temperature, or the temperature around the character, to implement a cold warm system. So I'll soon build some collision boxes around fires and such, which will warm the character up. So at 0, and that is Celsius, so that's just above freezing at the moment, and that would be too cold for the character, and the character would have to either find warmth eat more food or suffer a slight health penalty in the cold. So let's jump into blueprints and have a look at the ever-growing character blueprint. Okay, here is our viewport. Let's go to our event graph. Most everything has been done in the character blueprint at the moment. I'm fine with that. I've heard methodologies where you should try and spread it out, but it's not too complicated. Let's just start at the top left and have a look what's going on. So this is the lamp on off with that little fire dissolve that's going on. There's a lot happening with the lamp. It's a complicated little system. This is the lamp, this first area. This is the lamp where it flares in the sky. This is the lamp, the intensity. This is the lamp, the random, or not random, the tilt when you run. This is the lamp when it floats, the random animation. So this section here is all lamp. As you can see, it's an important gameplay element. It's basically your companion for the game once you get it. I'm switching everything over to enhanced input actions. I should have started with that, but I'm learning. That way all commands can be remapped as well by the player as they need to. And I've got a whole bunch of variables checking is the lamp a flare in the sky, has the lamp key been switched, because the animation takes time and I don't want players being able to spam keys and breaking sequences and so on. So I've got all these checks and balances. And then running on the up here, does it use a tick? I think it does use a tick. It's one of the few things I've got running on a tick is the check for the dissolve. Otherwise, the animated to the step-like sequencing, it was broken basically. The animation, if it wasn't on a tick. So that's the lamp on off. So press L, lamp goes on, press L, lamp goes off, but it dissolves. And either play from start or play from reverse with the dissolve going out or coming back in with all these checks and then reset at the end. It does link with the flare, because when you flare, the lamp also dissolves. So as you can see, once the flare is ready to dissolve, up here it goes into this dissolve effect and then back down from dissolve. So this is the flare, same thing. Is the flare on? Is the light off? Is the flare in the sky already? Has it been hidden already? That is been turned off. Has the L key been hit to stop from spamming? When you can't use the flare, when you're waiting for it to reset, it's already in the sky. I'll add possibly the character saying something here. Snow particle is those little blue particles that indicate whether the flare can be used or not, and then fill the area around the player and around the flare when it's in use. The tilt intensity is plus and minus on the keyboard. Pretty straightforward, this one. So less light, more light. There's two functions going on in this one commented section. It's quite simple, just adding more light. Tilt lamp. This one took me a long time to figure out. Good few hours. Just how I wanted to work and to make it look fluid and to work whilst all the other things with the lamp are going on as well. I think it worked well. Here's where. Oh, that's right. This uses the event tick as well. It's an animation. It has to. Again, it was a little too janky when not on the tick. I think I'd come up with a good solution here. I'm happy with that. The way it just gently floats. You can even see it in the viewport. Except here we go. You can see it floating around. We simulate. That's what that little bit of graph is doing, making it move gently and twist gently within its own local space, because it's still attached to the character and it's still going to tilt forward. It still does this animation of floating and twisting whilst tilting. That's a separate function. which, oh sorry, no, that's the float, and I was just showing you this section here. Pretty straightforward, which I've got on a timeline. This is controlling those rotations and so on, that gentle gentle animation. So this part is the tilting when running. That's right. Yeah, this was hard to work out, but I got there. This part was pretty easy to work out, I remember now. Okay, that is the lamp. There's a lot going on. What else have I got in blueprints here? I've got third person camera zoom. That will be tweaked just to make the camera, just get it at the right locations. That's all, but it's working fine for now with the wheel mouse. Wheel mouse scrolled down, wheel mouse scrolled up to zoom in, to zoom out around the character. It does not work, so it will only work in third person. Change camera hide head. So I've got a third to first person view. Press V, that'll remap that to an input action, enhanced action, but currently it's just V. And swap between first and third person. When you are in first person, I have the head of the character disappear. Just so any animations, you won't clip through the head and see the back of the eyeballs or any weirdness like that. I just get rid of the head and the hair altogether. It can affect shadows. If you're really careful in the right location, right place at the right time, you might see there's no head on your character in first person if a shadow displays that. And for that, I might put basically a 2D billboard in place of the head when in first person. That should be easy enough, I think. Show hide. Basically, stamina HUD fade. So this function here controls the fade of the stamina bar, and it will be copied basically to also be for the health bar and maybe cold and whatever else I want on the HUD. The UI to fade in and fade out when not in use. This calls to my UI, which I've got down here, my HUD. Controls a couple of functions, stamina fade in, stamina fade out on the UI, and only operates when stamina is below currently 95. I think that's a good figure, I think, because there's a 4-second fade in and fade out, which seems to cover the amount of time it gets to 95 here. Stamina regen. This is my stamina system, essentially, where it regenerates stamina when it's not being used. So as every second it's operating, controls this event here, which has a look here. Is current stamina less than 1? If yes, then the character's actually exhausted, and they have to wait 4 seconds before stamina will begin to regen. So if you get to below 1, so if you get to 0 stamina, if you use it all, there's going to be a 4-second delay before it can start to regenerate. It's a tiny little bit of, not punishment, but incentive not to exhaust stamina all the time. And it helps stop some exploits of stamina, such as gently tapping spacebar to keep jumping or sprinting forever and so on. After the 4 seconds, the character won't be exhausted. They'll get a free stamina. It'll be reset back to 1, so it'll be above this, and then therefore can start to regenerate again. If stamina is above 1, then this is where the regeneration begins to happen. Are they sprinting? If they are, then the stamina will not regenerate. True goes to nothing. Are they jumping? The same. True goes to nothing. Are they fighting? True goes to nothing. So if they're sprinting, jumping, or fighting, stamina will not regenerate. Otherwise, over to here, set current stamina, and it's basically current stamina regen. Every 1 second they get stamina regen, I think is 1. Let me just double check that. Yeah, stamina regen, I made it a variable. Is 1. So every second they get +1 stamina. It doesn't refill too quickly. I want it to be erring on the side of survival more than gaminess, essentially. And then after this, all this string here is running on my begin play. I have put a couple other begin plays in to be kicked off, but also may as well just keep some connected. That's fine. I know what's going on. I think over here is what brings the HUD into view. Currently, the only thing on the HUD is that stamina bar. We move down to here, UDS widget, we can ignore that. That's just the weather controller that I've been using. That won't be part of the game. Music, that won't be part of the game, I think. I think I'll make that a menu option, but that's just for my own benefit to turn it off when I don't want it. Crouching, pretty straightforward. Unreal has its own crouching system. Crouch, uncrouch. And I've just simply implemented that with a couple variables here that will be used later on, mostly for stealth. I put these set variables in because I know I'm going to be using them, even though I don't have a system for them yet. Saves me coming back looking for them. Walk, jog. This is the caps lock implement. So I've basically got, when you press caps lock, it puts you onto walk speed, which is whatever I want it to be. Currently I've got it at 250. Nice gentle walk. Otherwise the default is to run at 430. I'm happy with 430. Really straightforward little system there. Down here we have the blink. I didn't come up with this system, although it did. Well, I basically did. I think there was a system that came with the character model that hinted at this method. I think this bit might be kept, and the rest I had to come up with because it was broken. It didn't work. But it's pretty straightforward. Again, it's linked to the begin play, and this is the time. So between half a second and every 5 seconds, the character will blink as random. And I'm thinking I might stretch this out. The blink might be a little too fast, but this can all be tweaked. This is how fast they blink. So the length is 0.14 of a second. They go from eyes open to eyes closed, back to eyes open in a less than what's that, a fifth or something of a second, even less than a fifth, sixth of a second of something. And that controls on our head, we have two morph targets being our eyes, and that basically changes those morph targets. And I'll use this system to control eye movement, so the eyes sort of look around like a human does. They're never perfectly still all the time. And mouth movements and jaw, just so the character just animates a little bit when idle. Jumping is a normal feature of the Unreal Character Blueprint, but I have added a lot of stuff here. Are they exhausted? If they're exhausted, they can't jump. Is their current stamina below 4? If it is, they can't jump, because a jump uses 4 stamina. Are they jumping already? If they are, they can't jump. True goes to nothing. Otherwise, they can jump. I set is jumping to true, just for this check here, and other checks such as stamina regeneration. I wait a second, just so the jump key can't be spammed and damage or suck out all the player's stamina when they don't want it to happen, that to happen. And then I have the stamina drain by 4, and update the UI. Then untick or turn jumping off, and this whole cycle can begin again. If the player wants to spam jumping, they can. Movement inputs. I haven't done too much here, just added noise making to scare the animals off. These features they're for the camera. They control, so that way you can use your mouse to control the character and the camera follows, essentially. Auto run. So if you press C, your character will run. You don't have to hold W down, just to save your wrist and a little less carpal tunnel syndrome. I think this one I found via Unreal forums or something. The answer for this one was out there. It's pretty straightforward. I didn't come up with this myself. Sprint. I did come up with this one myself. Most of these blueprints, I went to a tutorial first. The tutorial didn't work, and I had to restart from scratch, knowing what not to do. So tutorials seem to be good in that regard in Unreal, to point you away from what not to do, and make you come up with things yourself, which has been good. I've been learning a lot. So for the sprinting, first of all, checking are they still. If they are still, then if you hold shift down, your stamina won't drain. And essentially nothing will happen. You won't sprint, your stamina won't drain. Otherwise, carry on. First, then check if you're exhausted. If you are exhausted, that's that. Check back in the stamina section. If your stamina is below 1, then you cannot sprint. You have to wait that 4 seconds for it to begin regenerating. Then tell our character we are sprinting, because this function is used elsewhere as well, particularly in stamina regeneration. Set our max walk speed to sprinting. I've currently got it at 900, but I think I'll be rocking with about 750 or somewhere. 900 is a little too fast if you're like a race car. 750 is still ample. So we're getting all of this from the character movement component on our third-person character, which is our character movement component here, to change the max walk speed. After we've set the sprint speed, we check, is our current stamina below 0? Because sprinting repeats. As long as you hold down shift, you'll keep running. But if we hold down shift and then all of a sudden we get to below 1 stamina, we don't want to run anymore. Otherwise, you'll be able to sprint forever, just if you make sure you never take your finger off shift, even if you have 0 stamina. So once you get to 0 stamina, we tell the sprint function you're exhausted, and we reset the run speed to the normal running speed, which is here. Give it a delay of 1 second, just to allow for stamina regen to kick in. Otherwise, keep on sprinting. So we also check, are you above 480? So sprinting isn't immediate. The way Unreal's movement works is there's a gradual build up from walk speed 480, or from 0, and gradually builds up. Once it gets above 480, even though walk speed's 430, I've given it a little bit of leverage or a little bit of easing and told it to be 480. Once it gets above 480, then stamina drain kicks in. So even if you're holding shift to sprint and you're in the walking phase below 480, your stamina won't drain. It'll only begin draining when you're really sprinting. And then it updates the UI, drains the stamina bar by 0.5 every whatever it is that this function occurs on. I don't know what the time value is, but 0.5 seems to be the value I'm going for. It doesn't drain too quickly. It gives you a bit of sprinting time. And of course I clamp all my values so they can't go over or under the min-max. Max stamina being 100. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Max stamina being 100, and your current stamina. And the minimum stamina will always be 0. I don't want to go into negatives. Right, carrying on in the blueprint, we have temperature. This is something that's not working yet, but as I mentioned before, on the top left of our screen, we saw the current temperature in Celsius. That's part of ultra dynamic sky/weather. If you get anything from the Unreal Marketplace, get ultra dynamic weather. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And learning more and more about it, so I managed to find this little doodad in there and to get the current temperature in Celsius, and this will control our character temperature, which will be a big part of the gameplay. Keeping warm, keeping fed. Is there anything else? We have stamina. These are all the normal features that I've added. That's there we go, that's our character blueprint. Of course, there's other blueprints happening, such as our HUD. If we have a look at our HUD here, down here we have our stamina bar, which is hidden and only comes in when in use, of course. If we have a look at the event graph for it, it's pretty basic. So the fade in and fade out are just a couple of animations. So back to here, if we have a look at the animations, I have a fade in and fade out. That's they're both set to 4 seconds. I could have just reversed them, but I did have them at different times. It faded in a lot faster, but I thought it felt more natural making it 4 seconds the same as fade out. Back to the event graph. Yeah, pretty basic here, and this just grabs the stamina from the player graph where it's calling or sending data to this update stamina and turns it into a percent value, because our stamina in our player blueprint is 0 to 100, but the stamina bar can only be 0 to 1, so we need to turn it into a percentage. Pretty easy to do. Okay, that's a fair bit of detail there, a lot going on, a lot more to happen, but piece by piece, incrementally, it's starting to slowly turn into a game with basic survival elements. Again, the core elements I want for this game will be exploration, rewarded by finding mostly mushrooms. There'll be other things. Some slight combat, which is more focused on hunting for food, because when combat for the forest creatures, such as this mushroom guy, it's not really about fighting. They're going to hurt you, and you need to be scared of them. So it's more about strategy and figuring out how to navigate with minimal contact, or how to run away from these buggers until you slowly accumulate wealth and can buy better weapons and so on. And of course the weather, the temperature will be a big element. If it's snowing, you better find some warmth, head to a nearby campfire, start a campfire, find a cave, run back to town, get some better clothing and so on. So incremental progress by just upping your survival skills. The character will not have skills in the traditional form, but your skills will be mostly based around equipment that you carry and wear. Alright, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next Jarl's Favour Dev Log. Bye.